Welcome to the Area Meeting 2015 President's Workshop, Using Your Superpowers for Good. For those of you who attended this workshop at the two area meetings, I hope that it was helpful to you. For those of you viewing online for the first time, I hope that it will be of great benefit to you as you lead your chapter. In this workshop, we're going to take a look at how you can use your superpowers for good. We'll talk about your role as the leader of your chapter, take a look at your chapter members, and how to better understand them, how you can grow those members into leaders for your chapter, holding effective meetings, and how to effectively communicate with your chapter members. When you look at your president's manual that was given to you at AEC, the first page behind tab 2 outlines your responsibilities as chapter president. Facilitate and preside over your chapter and board meetings, communicate effectively with a positive attitude, lead and encourage your chapter members while serving all of them, not just the board or your EC. You occasionally serve as referee and resolve conflict, hopefully using your chapter constitution to back you up and take away the potential of it becoming personal. Your chapter constitution, as well as the NAJA handbook, also outlines specific duties of the president. The NAJA language reads, the president is the chief executive officer of the chapter, presides at all chapter and executive board meetings, and is an ex officio member to all committees except the nominating committee. The president appoints all committees, including the chairman, unless otherwise provided. Each chapter may specify other specific duties beyond what NAJA requires of you and should be noted in your constitution. During the workshop at the area meetings, participants were given a quiz to help determine their leadership style. That quiz is available to you on the NAJA website if you haven't already downloaded a copy. We're now going to take a look at the different leadership styles featured in that quiz. Are you autocratic? Are you more democratic in your style? How about free reign, more laissez-faire in the way that you work? For those of you who scored as being autocratic in nature, you like to be in control and in charge of things. This leadership style has an I know best sort of mindset and is very authoritarian with very little input from the membership. If you've seen the Lego movie, you'll understand my images of Lord Business and the micromanager. This kind of leadership style can be dangerous if it's abused. As you'll see from the handout that accompanies the quiz from the NAJA website, it does have a time and place when decisions need to be made on the fly due to time constraints. Those of you who scored as having a more democratic style of leadership tend to seek input from your membership, and it's much more participative. The membership feels more engaged. This tends to be the most effective style of leadership for an organization because of the higher morale for the group. Again, I've used a Lego movie reference with Emmett, the special, who wanted to give everyone a chance to be a part of building something great. For those of you who lean toward the free reign, laissez-faire style, this tends to be the least productive for the organization. It actually results in more work for the leader due to the anarchy that sometimes results. Without a clear purpose, the other officers, chairs, and members are unsure of what they should do and become unmotivated. The qualities listed here are all things that you already possess as one of your chapter's super leaders. You would not have been elected to your position otherwise. However, when things get crazy, it's always a good idea to remember those traits that others admire in you so that you don't get dragged down by the crazy. When I was in college, I attended my sorority's National Leadership Conference, and our workshop leader had us say, act enthusiastic and you'll be enthusiastic. We started out sounding like the Walking Dead. She had us repeat it, louder, and then louder again until we were laughing and smiling when we said it. We faked it until we made it true. Sometimes you have to psych yourself into what you need to be for your chapter. Be positive, smile, communicate your expectations, be a team player, and say thank you. Kindness goes a long, long way in this role. When things start going south, as they will from time to time, reflect on what you've done and done well to keep from getting lost in the weeds. Keep a to-do list with your action items checked off. When you see what you've done, you tend to feel less lost sometimes. Know your strengths because they're going to help you realize your weaknesses. When you know where your weaknesses lie, you can rely on your chapter members who are stronger in those areas. Never allow anyone to make you think that delegation is a weakness. The ability to effectively delegate is a huge strength. Have a plan. If you're just floating along, it's hard to get people on board with you. They want to know where they're going if they're going to get in that boat with you. This is why goal setting is such a big piece of chapter board training. It's the chapter's goal, not just your own. If you've been around junior auxiliary for a long time, you've had the fun of seeing one of our favorite AEC speakers, Dr. Joe. She's known for saying no stinking thinking. Remember that negative attitudes yield negative results. It won't get you anywhere. Here's where it gets tricky. Sometimes you have to make the hard decisions. When I was a chapter president, we had a golf tournament as our major fundraiser. The remains of a not so little hurricane named Katrina traveled up through Tennessee and almost rained us out without a rain date on the books because the course was booked for months. This was the second time we almost lost our fundraiser. During my term, we switched gears and started a springtime indoor fundraiser to have the funds in the bank and to include more women in the event before the budget was set and to eliminate those acts of nature. We had two major fundraisers in one year. It was hard and stressful, but we had to change the way we budgeted and raised our money. During that process, we did make some mistakes, and I willingly owned up to them and then passed on my what I wish I knew or did notes to my vice president. Just because you're the president, it doesn't mean that everyone automatically congratulates you and pats you on the back. If you're doing your job right and delegating operational duties, those ladies should be the ones getting the glory first. People will remember you by how well everything went during your term, not all of the little details. When you do get those compliments, just smile and graciously say thank you. As a leader, it's important to understand who we serve. Organizations of all types are finding that it is increasingly difficult to secure long-term commitments from volunteers. Does this sound familiar? In an article published by the YMCA in 2012, they noted that there are two trends related to volunteering. One, no one has enough time. And two, people want to belong. They still care and want to help, but their lives are crazy, as we all well know. So, how do we maximize the return on our members' investment of their very precious time? In 2014, our NAJA marketing vice president did a demographic survey of our membership. Some of you may have participated. We learned some of the following about our membership. Age breakdown. We have 35% of our members in the demographic of 18 to 34. 52% of our members were aged 35 to 54, with 13% 55 or older. We also learned that our volunteers are smart. College graduates, 51%, which is actually higher, a little bit more towards about 86% because of the number of women who have postgraduate degrees of 35%. They have individual skill sets that can be widely used in different areas of operations. 75% of our members work outside the home, with 20% staying home as wife or mother, with 5% of our members being retired. Our members are busy with their spouses, kids, extended family, sports, church, and countless other activities. They want to make a difference. That's why they've sought out your chapter. 13% of those women are single, 85% are married, 2% widowed, 62% with children under the age of 18, 20% with children over 18, and 18% with no children at all. JA members who are involved in other volunteer organizations, a whopping 71%. And 96% of our members have donated to a charity within the last year. So we're very busy and we're extremely generous. So what do our volunteers want? They want to make a difference. They want to get ahead. That doesn't necessarily mean they want to climb our JA corporate ladder, but they do want to grow as individuals. More and more companies are recognizing volunteer experience on resumes. These are very desirable potential employees to employers. They want to know they're doing a good job and they want order. Their daily lives with work, family, and friends are crazy enough. A poorly run chapter meeting will drive them nuts. Use an agenda. There's a sample in your president's manual as well as on the NAJA website. And this also addresses the last point. Make sure that your committee meetings are outside of the chapter meeting. Do not use your chapter meeting to discuss the decorations for your charity ball or the setting of the menu for the provisional tea. Those details need to be nailed down outside of the chapter meeting and only reported on at the chapter meeting. So how do you motivate your members? Keep them engaged. Get their buy-in on what's going on so they feel ownership in the chapter and become more invested. It's easier for someone to walk away from something when they don't feel ownership or if they don't have a strong emotional attachment. Support one another. Have a sunshine committee to help deliver meals to members going through a hard time, for example. Impacting the community is probably the most motivational. You can't put a price on the precious hugs and smiles from the people, both young and old, that we serve. Acknowledge your members. Make them feel respected and cherished. How can you deepen that member commitment? You can find ideas on the NAJA website under the membership recruitment links for establishing rituals and traditions within your chapter, things like awards, banquets, and that sort of thing. Encourage peer relationships by pairing up a seasoned member with a new provisional member to mentor her as she learns about membership in junior auxiliary. Formal training. Good provisional training is the cornerstone of every JA chapter. Chapter board training is also key for getting your board and other key leaders in your chapter committed to what you're doing. Remind your members of why JA is beneficial to them as a person or to their family, how the community benefits from what they do. Once you have the commitment from your members, one of your roles is to grow them into leaders. They're already leaders in your community. Now make them leaders of your chapter. Again, remind them of the benefits of being a member and let them see the big picture. Care today, character tomorrow. Share things like Lynn Patrick's Ricky story with them and how each of you are making a difference. Be clear in your communications and the expectations that you have and keep people engaged. Let them work on projects and tasks where their skill set is best put to use. Don't let their God given talents and their hard earned educations go to waste. Look for the potential. Watch your members at projects and observe their strengths and how you can put them to work in other ways. Take advantage of the democratic leadership style and encourage participation from all members of the chapter. Celebrate chapter and individual successes. Set aside time at the end of a meeting to recognize members for accomplishments. We all love a pat on the back and a good party. Presiding over meetings is the most visible thing you will do as president. So much is behind the scenes, and the membership will have no clue about all of the emails and phone calls you manage outside of the chapter and board meetings. When you utilize the guidelines from your chapter president's manual listed on page 3 behind tab 2, you'll find that things will go much more smoothly. Starting on time lets everyone know that you value their time and the fact that they showed up on time for the meeting. Having speakers stand results in everyone looking at them and giving the person who has the floor more attention than they would draw if they remained seated. Before you conduct any business, such as voting, ensure that you have a quorum as defined by your chapter's constitution. If you do not have a quorum present, reports may be given, but no voting can take place. The treasurer will have a report at every chapter meeting, presenting a copy of the monthly budget along with the bank statement. It's the fiduciary responsibility of all members to review the chapter financials each month. Having your handbook and a copy of your constitution will be helpful for the weird situations or questions that may arise during the course of the meeting. You can address the question or issue without it having to be tabled until the next meeting. Sometimes your meeting may extend past an hour, and that's okay. It should be the exception and not the rule. If your committees are doing their job and giving reports instead of discussing things during the chapter meeting, this should be the case more often than not. The clothing you wear for the meeting sets the tone for the meeting. Dress it up a bit and the members will take notice. When you look like you're ready to do business, the members will expect it. Children shouldn't be at meetings, not because we don't like them, but because they can be a distraction. Look into hiring a babysitter with an assessment to member dues or using a Crown Club member to watch the children for the hour if you find that this is an issue with your chapter. Again, the agenda is critical. Know who will be reporting before the meeting. There's a sample agenda on page 5 behind tab 2 in your manual and a sample script starting on page 6. Parliamentary procedure and Robert is your friend. It encourages order and courtesy. This keeps the business from becoming personal, especially when the members debate in the third person. For example, let's say that our treasurer is named Susie. During debate, a member may rise and state that she disagrees with the sentiments of the treasurer. By not saying, I disagree with Susie, the member is keeping things much more neutral and on the topic of the business at hand, as opposed to saying she didn't like what Susie said. How can you effectively communicate with your members? Most of this is common sense. Be direct, concise, and to the point with your expectations. Behind tab 5 of your manual are sample member and officer commitment forms. There's also a sample code of ethics that your chapter can choose to adopt for the Constitution, along with a whistleblower policy. These all help set the tone of what's expected of a member or of an officer or chairperson within your chapter. Most of this is simple common sense, but keep things timely and keep your members updated and often. Avoid using email or text messages for delivering bad news. There are always a slew of questions that go along with bad news, and it is best addressed in person. Be mindful of your body language and address things immediately. Don't let a potential landmine linger. Ask open-ended questions to avoid misunderstandings. Instead of a yes-no question, seek answers that have more detail. And again, encourage participation of your members. Studies have shown that how you look and the tone of your voice are more important than word selection when communicating. It's important to be in the right frame of mind when speaking to the membership. It's like that act enthusiastic and you'll be enthusiastic message from earlier. In short, it comes down to how you respond when things go south, as they will. You have a choice in how you handle the situations that are thrown at you. You may need to take a step back from the situation and then put on your big girl pants and find the courage, humor, and grace that you will need. If anyone has heard the story I Am Malala about a Pakistani girl who was shot in the face at point blank range by the Taliban because she dared to go to school and get an education, you'll know what I'm talking about. She survived. She has a bounty on her head and she continues to speak out about her story and the conditions in the regions under the Taliban's rule. At 16 years of age, she became the youngest person ever nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. It isn't just what happens that defines a leader, it's also how you react to what happens. That's what people will remember over time. Many people are under the misconception that the president is the most important position in the chapter when there are actually many key positions that are essential to the success of the chapter. Membership chair and committee is key for recruiting new members. This is now a required position and committee for all chapters as of May of 2015. The provisional chair, probably the most responsibility of all. She's integral for retaining those new recruits by properly educating them on your chapter and the association so they understand the mission and purpose of our organization. Your recording secretary is key for documenting what happened at each and every chapter and board meeting, and for keeping the permanent records of the chapter, often the permanent records for each member if that's what's outlined in your chapter's constitution. The treasurer and assistant treasurer are responsible for making sure that every penny is accounted for with sound accounting practices, but they should also make sure that every member of the chapter understands their fiduciary responsibility for the budget and the finances as well. Every committee and project chair are key because they should be allowed to act without being micromanaged to carry out their duties to serve the community. As our NAJA parliamentarian Wilma Wilbanks says, we serve at the pleasure of the members. The members are the ones doing the work. If we lead in such a way that members no longer find joy and feed their souls with the work being done, they will leave and the community will suffer for it. As a reminder, you have a wealth of resources at your disposal to help you on your journey as a super leader in your chapter. You have the manual you received at AEC, you have your chapter's constitution and policies that establish how your chapter operates. This serves as your backup when you have to tell someone no. It's because of what has been previously agreed upon by the chapter or by NAJA, not you telling Sally that she can't do something. You also have the NAJA handbook when something isn't specifically addressed by your constitution, as well as Robert's Rules of Order newly revised. That's your parliamentary authority as defined by your chapter's constitution. The NAJA Bulletin, produced by headquarters, lists all NAJA reps and their contact information, as well as contact information for every JA chapter, along with the projects done by each chapter. You can also find lists of past award recipients and the minutes from AEC. It is packed full of information. We have the NAJA website, our Facebook page, and a Facebook group for chapter presidents. If you aren't already on that group, ask your CSC to send you an invitation link. An email also goes out to all chapter presidents at the start of the year with the link. Your CSC is your front line for your questions. She's there to help and to answer questions along with the other NAJA reps. We're all here to help you and your chapter succeed. Please don't ever feel like you're bothering us if you reach out to ask a question. We also have workshops and speakers for you at area meetings in AEC, and please encourage your other members to take advantage of these resources. They don't have to just be your chapter officers who attend these meetings. Here we have a listing of different ways that you can connect with NAJA. Links to all of these social media channels are available at the bottom of all constant contact messages from headquarters. If you haven't liked our NAJA Facebook page yet or joined the chapter president group, please do so as soon as possible. Our Facebook account is the most used of all of our social media. We also need your help to grow our footprint. Please tag yourself and your friends in photos that we share on our page. That will help us expand our reach as well as your chapter's reach. It benefits all of us when the chapters and the association are both able to grow. We're also working to build our YouTube channel by putting recorded workshops such as this one along with other video content out there, and we will send constant contact messages when new content is posted. Lead your chapter to AEC and to area meetings. The dates for our upcoming AEC and area meetings through 2017 are noted on the screen. Please encourage as many members of your chapter as possible to attend these meetings. It's not just for your officers to attend. When more of your chapter members can attend, learn, and get motivated, it's easier to grow the chapter's membership, projects, and fundraising because there are more members on board with the same message. It's easier to get the rest of the chapter motivated if more people have gotten the message. Have a great year. Enjoy this time as crazy as it may be, and I hope that you discover your superpower and that you'll share it with others. Help your members find their superpowers and change the world around you.